What if I told you you could build, manage, and sell AI agents for small business owners, even if you have zero technical experience, zero audience, zero email list, right? All of this is possible. You don't necessarily need those things, and you don't even need to know how to code because my guest today, Phil Goodwin, lives in a small town in Georgia. This is not a town that has like a bunch of rich business owners running around, yet he still managed to build and sell AI agents as a service for a living to business owners in his town. Now, he has no audience, he has no email list. He's literally a Figma designer by trade. Like, he doesn't even know how to code. And he's going to show us the offer that he's running to sell agents. He's going to tell us what he charges. He's even going to show us the exact text message that he sent to land his first client. And towards the end of the episode, he's going to share the one thing that he builds into every agent that got a client back 63 hours in week one. I'm not exaggerating. This is so smart. I've never heard anybody talk about this method before. And Phil shares the whole thing with us. So tune in, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Today, we've got Phil Goodwin on the podcast. We're going to be talking all things managed agents, how we can make money selling managed agents, managing them for clients at pretty attractive price points and really, really strong margins. So Phil, why don't you give us the takeaway? Like, what are people going to learn if they stick around all the way through the end of the episode?
Yeah, my goal is people to go away with this really feeling like I can do this. I want people to feel empowered. Not only with I'm going to show you guys kind of my stack and how I actually launch these agents and things, but I really want you to go away feeling like I can do this. So that's kind of, you know, that's the takeaway. I'd love for people to like come out feeling empowered is really what I'd love to see.
And I think that's what people want to hear, right? I mean, most people listening to this are in a position where they want to go 0 to 1, right? We have way fewer people who want to go 1 to 10, for example. So I know you've got some materials prepared. I know you're going to share your screen here, and we're really going to get into the weeds of like how these agents are built, how you structure the offer, how you found your first clients, which is always everybody's biggest bottleneck. So before we do that, can we make it clear that, like, one, you're not a tech guy, right? Like, you're not a developer. You're not. Can you just give us your background so that, again, people listening to this are like, oh, like, I'm like Phil too. I can do this, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what
So
is your
my,
background?
my background is completely non-technical. I'm a designer, historically. So I've been in design for a couple decades, designing mobile apps, web apps. I started out I design everything. And then about 2015 went into only product design. So mobile apps and web apps. So made a ton of, got a ton of clients from that and, met a lot of people in that space, but I'm not at all technical. I've never been a developer, never been like a professional IT person. So yeah, this is all, I'm coming from designer world. Spent most of my time in Figma, prototyping there. AI has been like a total new kind of thing for me. I ran a business with a couple of partners that we sold last November, and that really kind of transitioned me into, okay, you know, now what do I do? And so that led me in December to really diving into the AI stream and kind of starting to discover things there.
Perfect. Well, yeah, again, the fact that you're non-technical, I think makes this even more accessible to most people watching this. So let's go ahead and dive in. I know you're sharing your screen right now. We're obviously, like I said, we're talking about managed agents. So maybe do you want to start by defining that? Like, what does it mean to sell managed agents? Like, what's the actual offer that we're selling here?
Yeah, so the whole idea and kind of how I pitch this to people that I chat with it about, it's like hiring a digital worker or digital employee for your business. And so my kind of pitch is I'll kind of be the manager of that thing. And I kind of really act as like a coach and a lot of the people, the clients that I work with are business owners. They're business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're executives. And these also are not really super technical people. So they really need and want someone to kind of not just drop an agent in their lap and say like, hey, have fun with it. Um, some of them do like to play around with this stuff. I've had some clients go wild on playing around with stuff, but most of them, they want someone to kind of walk alongside them, give them, kind of coach them along the way, help them build the workflows, help them discover different things the agents can do. And so that's really what I'm selling is it's like a combination of kind of coaching, consulting, but also with this like tool that's empowering their business with like a role that they either have had a hard time filling in the past or have thought about filling for a while. Normally that's like a central office person or like an executive assistant. or like a really specific thing in the business that they haven't really been able to hand off to someone else, or just a plethora of stuff that they do as an owner that they've wanted off their plate for a while anyway. And so this is kind of like, hey, I can give you a digital employee that can kind of help you fill that gap, and I'll coach you along the way. So that's really what the offering is.
So I love that you specify the coaching aspect, right? Because a lot of people, when they think about AI agents, they think like plug and play, right? They think, oh, I'm going to build this agent, I'm going to install it in this person's business, I'm going to charge them a monthly fee, right? 2 grand a month, 3 grand a month, 5 grand a month, whatever that ends up being. And then they're just going to go off and use the agent, and I'm just going to collect a check every month. But what you're saying, what you're offering is way more in depth. You're like, well, yeah, I'm building them that agent, I'm building them that AI employee, but then I'm acting as almost like a manager of that agent. Is that fair to say? Like, as well as a coach to the business owner on how to use it. So it's almost like you're taking, folks listening that have listened to this podcast before have heard me talk about like our AI concierge offer, which is done with you consulting. I mean, really, your managed agents model is AI concierge, but even a higher ticket, right? And even with the deliverable being not just the coaching, but the actual AI employee to go with it. So I love that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a huge need for that. Like the business owners they don't want, a lot of times they don't want you to just build it and hand it off and then walk away. Like they need the ongoing guidance, which is why they're willing to pay you a few grand a month.
Yeah. So historically how I got into this, I built my own agents, right? Testing it out with myself. I got one, I got two, I got three. I'm starting to find out that I really don't need that many, right? And then I was like, I bet other people would find some value in this. So I got with a couple friends. I was like, hey, let me give you an AI agent. So set them up, kind of do it for free, right? For a few people, kind of start getting some, traction with testimonials, like some case study with them. And then started being like, okay, what can I charge for this, right? So I started doing just kind of standing up the infrastructure. So ignore all the coaching, managing the agent. That was not part of my thought process. This is back in February. And so I just setting up people on VPS, on a virtual private server. I would like stand it all up for them, kind of set up the security. And then I kind of set them up with a local coding agent that could kind of be their technician for their VPS. And then have the agent that's actually, kind of the agent they communicate with in Telegram or whatever their communication platform is they want. And so I was kind of doing that. I started like 500, then I did 1,000, then I did 1,500, then I did 2,000. But then you start finding that like really the people who are the most, you have some of these owner operators who are super motivated and they're like really excited about this tech, and other ones, they like really need handholding. And so when I handed off an infrastructure to them, it just dies if they need handholding, right? Because I wasn't selling my ability to like be there ongoing with them. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of like, hey, here's the setup. I'll give you 14 days to kind of ask me questions and kind of be available to you. After that, like, hey, you're on your own. So this kind of came out of, I kind of see some people that just stop using it because they don't really have help to like know how to get this plugged into tools and like how to talk with it. Honestly, that's something that I've also learned. Like this coaching aspect is super important because people also are not used to talking to machines. They're used to like asking ChatGPT questions now, like treating it like Google. But the whole idea of how do I build workflows with a machine, with an intelligence, it's weird because you'd think it'd be intuitive. Like I'll just talk to you like I talk to a person, but people don't naturally do that. They naturally treat it like Google, right? It's there's like the aspect of like learning how to just talk with it also, which is kind of a part of the whole coaching and managed agent thing.
For sure. No, the model makes perfect sense. And again, you're speaking my language as far as like early on offering it for free, getting those case studies, getting those testimonials, testing out the market. Like what are people willing to pay, right? Starting at 500, basically raising it $500 every time you got a yes, which is exactly what I preach people do as well. Keep raising your prices, especially if everybody's saying yes. So you're speaking my language. I love it so far. I know you're sharing your screen here. Let's dive into your workflow here and kind of how you get this up and running for folks.
Yeah, so I'll kind of start with like the high level of like, hey, what I've built is like I sell managed AI employees to small businesses, and it always starts with one, right? The idea is that the offer kind of starts with like the starter kind of cost to setting everything up, and then there's like a monthly ongoing per agent is kind of how I do it. Now I know you've had Nick on the podcast. I know he's kind of like hey, $5K a month, unlimited agents, unlimited tokens, all that kind of stuff. I've taken a little bit of a different approach, and I'm like, hey, there's going to be a setup, and then there's like an agent fee, like there's a cost per agent. Because most people don't need a ton, right? Um, so I'm basically starting with like I sell them one agent, and typically that falls into like more of an administrative role because those are a lot of the like these tasks kind of suck for owners. They don't want to do these things. But the high level is like there's a client request or a scheduled job, right? Then it goes to whatever the agent is. It utilizes company knowledge and the tools we have connected. Sometimes there's some kind of approval gate that we put on there to require approval, like an email send or something like that. And then the work's done. And so inside the agent, each agent kind of gets its own job description, obviously memory, sometimes do an email address. Not all my clients actually want their agent to have email addresses. And then obviously connected apps, dedicated VM, computer, or VPS, and then kind of monitoring ongoing. That's also part of what I'm offering is I'm going to watch this thing and monitor it. If it goes down, hopefully you'll never know, right? If it goes down, you do know, I'll fix it immediately, right? But everything's got like things on it that I'm watching. I should get a ping if something happens.
And quick point on that, right? Because that was, back when OpenClaw came out, for example, that was everybody's biggest gripe with things like OpenClaw is like, it goes down so often. You're spending like, you can't be nearly as productive using the agent because you're spending 50% of your time troubleshooting it.
It was
a lot
mess.
of times, yeah. And when people like, I still get this pushback all the time, like, oh, who's going to pay $5,000 a month for you to manage an AI agent for them? The person that doesn't want to spend 5 hours a week inside Claude Code or Codex troubleshooting the agent, right? Like a big part of the value that you're offering is, hey, if it goes down, when it goes down, because it will go down eventually, right? They always do. I'm going to be the one fixing it, and realistically, it's going to get fixed hopefully before you even notice. So that's a huge benefit, and that reason in and of itself, people are willing to pay a few grand a month for,
especially if they've tried it themselves, right?
right.
And they know that it's bad. You're like new people to this; they have no idea that's ever been a problem. So, but if you've had people that have like tried to do the AI agent thing themselves and got frustrated because it broke all the time and they just gave up,
Yeah,
it's a good selling point for them for sure.
for sure. Yeah.
And we don't have to go through all these use cases, but I just wanted to show these are real use cases from current clients that I have that I just kind of had, put together a little list here. So around like operations and admin stuff, content knowledge work, executive assistant type work, technical and recurring work. These are all like my clients have been in, my current managed agent clients are in like construction, and in like coaching. It's like business coaching, construction. And then some of my past clients have been in more like property management, and miscellaneous engineering. So kind of all over the board, real estate. So these are like some of the kind of real world sort of applications that we've found that people are using the agent for.
And let's maybe touch on the top 1 to 3 from each of those categories there, because that's a big, I wouldn't even say like objection. It's more of one of those things that when you're talking to a prospect, especially somebody that hasn't really used AI that much yet, a lot of times the issue they face is they just don't know what they don't know. They're like, well, yeah, I think I need an AI agent, but I don't even know what I would have it do. So let's talk through some of the use cases here to kind of get people's minds, spinning, and so they can have some ammunition in their back pocket when they go to pitch a client on this. Like, hey, here are some things that it can do.
Yeah. So my most recent managed agent client, he's a kind of a one man, runs a lot of his business, family business. It's a directional drilling company. So he has a lot of central office type needs. A lot of that stuff's around like setting up new jobs, like getting like all of his like field kind of contractors he has like report in hours and they do logs. And so he's kind of like constantly managing, and going between QuickBooks and like field logs and job, PDFs, contracts, folders. So I've actually been super impressed. So every time these models like come out with there's like a new kind of jump forward, I get more impressed with the agent's able to actually handle. One thing that I do that's maybe it's unique, I don't know if it is or not. When I set up a client with an agent, I actually set up a group chat in Telegram. So it's not just, I don't just kind of leave the client to talk with the agent by themselves and I can't really see what they're doing. They do have that, but I also set up kind of this group chat where it's like myself, the client, and the agent. So they can see me interact with the agent and they can kind of learn how I talk with it. But I also get to see things they request and I can tell them like, hey, is that this client would like ask his agent like, hey, search my inbox for an email from, John Smith. And if you find it, there should be an invoice on there for job 3370. I want you to download it, create a new job folder for that job, put this PDF in that job folder, and then take the information out of that PDF and put it in an Excel sheet. Also save that to the Dropbox folder and then send me the link. And I'll be like, dude, I don't think the agent can do that like in one fell swoop. But sure enough, 6-10 minutes later, the agent brings it all back and it's like all checked off. I'm like, dude, I'm like dumbfounded that the agent was able to pull that off. Like you just gave it like a insane number of stuff to do in a single command and it does it. And so that's a recent thing I've been seeing, but like multiple things on this list, it will like knock off in a single like prompt from the client.
And another thing I love about this model, especially when your client is someone who hasn't really used AI before, especially if they haven't used agentic AI, is like take the example that you just gave, that 5-6 step workflow for that drilling client. Once he sees that happen one time, like if he gave that prompt, 6 minutes later, agent comes back, yep, it's done. That guy's mind is blown. Like he's probably not going to churn because he's like, oh my God, that's something that I've been doing myself for every job for the last 20 years. And it takes me 20 minutes per job. And half the time I don't do it because I either hate it or I forget. Like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just such a light bulb moment for most people that if you can set up those conditions for it to work properly, they're not going to go anywhere. Like they're bought in at that point.
Yeah. And once a client experiences that, their mind starts going to, well, what else can I do that I didn't think?
That's the most common next step is like, what else can I do? What else can I do? Yeah.
And so like one of these things on here, organize thousands of accounting, vendor, and HR files. Like he had his agent go back and organize his entire Dropbox and was like, dude, I've been putting this off for years. Like going back to all my job file, like organizing all this. I just had the agent do it. And so his first week, I mean, I've never seen someone save so much time like in week one of having an agent. I think he did about 63 hours of like saved time. I tack on a value tracker. So this is like kind of a pro tip. So
that's smart.
If you have the agent kind of like have a ledger, like the agent that you launch, like actually have a value ledger. So it logs every single task it does and it assigns an amount of like human time and dollars to those tasks. And I have it at the end of every week, I have it give a report to the owner of the agent. It'll say like, hey, this week we did, this amount of tasks. It amounted to, about this amount of time, which equated to this amount of dollars. And then it'll also say like, hey, we did these tasks. We don't have dollar equivalents for time. Tell us, or tell me how much time would this normally take you. Right. So every week they get like reconfirmed like, oh, okay, this week I saved $1,700. Right. Last week I saved $6,300. Right. So
dude, that is so smart. I'm stealing that. Like for anybody in the audience listening to this, that's genius. I've never heard of anybody doing that. Now that you say it, it sounds so obvious. But like that is freaking genius. I love that. Continue.
Yeah. So that was like week one for that guy. It was like a $6,300 week. So I have another client who does for the content knowledge work stuff. This is another thing I haven't used AI agents for, but he has, and it's short form video editing. So he's used his agent a lot. He'll put his like iPhone videos in a Google Drive, and then he'll point his agent. He uses I can't remember what the short form video software is called, but he has his agent interfacing with a specific software, and he'll tell the agent, go grab this video, use such and such software to like cut it up for me and put the captions in. And he said right now it gets about like 80% of the way there, which still saves him a few hours. Like he's trying to put out 8 to 10 of these short form videos a week. So for him to be able to drop it to his agent, and it takes longer. Video editing takes a lot longer right now for the models, at least for these agent models. And I'm having all of them run on 5.6 Sol. So GPT 5.6 Sol. He says his is like a 30 to 45 minute thing, but the agent comes back and it's like 80% done for him. And so he's like just kind of tightening up the edges of it. So it's still saving him like a ton of time. That's a unique use case. I haven't heard anyone else using. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people use them for video editing, but it's not something I really do. So I know video editing is pretty time consuming.
Yeah, that's one that, again, it's going to be very difficult when it comes to editing for AI to get you 100% of the way there. Like very rarely is it going to be able to, but if it can get you 80% of the way there, I mean, legitimately saving him multiple hours per week. Like I know how time intensive and just tedious it is to edit short form. So that's a great use case.
Yeah. But I mean, the rest of these, we don't have to go through all of them, but a lot of stuff that people know that AI agents are good at: research, prospecting, These are all like really good things. I found that it's really good to encourage clients to not just have the agent kind of do, like, if you're doing a research project and you're trying to prospect for a specific kind of niche or specific service, have the agent actually drop it into like an Excel file or something. Don't just have the agent like store it in its own markdown. Um, I think that was something that it took me a while to like for it to click in for me. Like, oh, I need like a source of truth, where this thing can like write to, that's I can then go in and edit. That's like, something more like a table.
Right.
And I can kind of go through and check it off. And the agent also can refer to it, look at it. But that's like it was like a little thing that occurred to me like a few weeks ago. And I'm like, why haven't I not thought about doing that? I started like tracking my own payments and things in an Excel sheet and have my agent double check it when a payment comes in, log it for me. It's an easy place for me and the agent to like use together. So that's like a kind of a small thing, but having the agent actually generate human readable things for yourself, especially if you're prospecting.
For sure. Well, and on the idea of prospecting, right? So let's talk about client acquisition, how you found some of those first clients, because just to make it clear to the people in the audience, right? Phil, you don't have some like huge social media audience, right? You don't have some big email list. You don't know. I mean, it's not like you have hundreds of people that you could call on at any given point in time to try to sell them these services. So let's talk about how you found those initial clients and how you're going about acquiring new ones. Because again, that's most people's bottleneck. So you want to shed some light there on like how'd you find that very first, not just the free client, like the case study client, but the very first paying client?
Yeah, typically what I've found so far, so obviously the free ones, those kind of were like friends, right? So if I'm getting the friends in there to test, does this work? Is it giving them value? Let me get some like quotes from you, right, about how this is helping you. And then a lot of times those friends would actually refer it to somebody who had actually could charge for it, right? So so then the free ones become like the referral engine for the paid ones.
Yeah.
And I've noticed like I think I've done about 21 setups so far. A lot of those kind of at the beginning were like close, tight knit network friends. And then from there, it was like they told a person, and it's kind of expounded out. Like I'm in a small town in Georgia. It's not like a super like wealthy town, but these people who are here, they have friends in Atlanta and they have friends that are in Dallas, right? They have friends that are in North Carolina and some bigger cities. And so I start getting referrals for people that are all over the country. So then now I'm doing AI agent, setups for people all over the country. Like, and it just started with like me working on doing some free stuff for friends. So honestly, it's all come through network. And then I've started to post online. Like you said, I probably have like 1,500 followers on X. Like I'm not a big influencer, or like, I don't really work on trying to build a follower count, but I am starting to try and post like helpful things that I think would help other people who are in my position, of like, just start doing it. If you just start doing it, like I've got a friend here locally who's trying to get into doing similar things. And it's really easy to get in your head and try to like think you've got to have this whole plan in place, where I've got to map it out exactly how I'm going to do it, who I'm going to be offering it to, what exactly my offering is. And like, I got to button up all these things before I can offer it. And you don't, like, you can just start doing stuff, and you'll like start learning, and you'll start finding the stuff that, well, I actually like this part. I actually don't like this part. So I know that you're big, like the AI concierge thing. Like I'll do an audit. I'll recommend some tools for you. For me, I'm like, dude, I actually I don't want to do the like bunch of different tools, right? It's not really my thing. I don't want to set someone up with Claude Cowork and like develop plugins or develop skills and stuff in Claude Cowork. I'm like, I really like the idea of like setting them up with an agent. So
Yep.
I've done some of the like Claude Cowork stuff, right? And the Claude stuff, but I've found through like playing with that stuff, I'm like, okay, that's not really my thing. I like this thing. So I think it's a start doing it, right? And eventually someone will ask you, what do you charge to do X, Y, Z? And you're like, charge? So it will happen.
A couple good takeaways from that. So one, I mean, I totally agree that there's hundreds of different AI services or offers you could sell. But your point, which I agree with completely, is like, well, just because a particular offer might be popular or you can charge a lot of money for it doesn't mean it's going to be one that you personally like to fulfill. So the advice I'm hearing from you is find the offer that is both lucrative that you can charge for and one that you enjoy fulfilling, right? Is that fair to
Right.
say?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then your second point is you let the free work kind of be your pipeline for the paid work, right? So you like how did again just tactically for people in the audience, let's say somebody's listening to this and is like, okay, well, yeah, I know a couple of business owners here in my town, or maybe for my gym or for my church or parents of my kids' friends, for example. I could probably reach out to them and offer free work, but I feel like a lot of people even get stuck there. They're like, well, what do I even say? So like what is that text message that you would send to that contact that even offering free work?
Yeah. Honestly, the free work sometimes is not different than like the, hey, I'm just trying to like test some paid work. But it would be like, hey, I'm starting to experiment with AI agents. And a lot of times I've had like conversations with some of these people that I'd be texting, right? Like at a gathering or something, we've talked about AI, right? And I might text them like, hey, I'm starting to test out a managed agent service where I install an agent for you. I can coach you through building workflows, and I'll be there like once a month. We'll have a call. We'll talk through what's working, what's not. Would you be interested in like being a guinea pig in this with me? I'll charge you less. Like but I just want like the experience and the reps. Would you be willing to do that? And most of the time they're like, sure. Right. They'd rather like kind of be the guinea pig for you than pay like high dollar for somebody who's already got it figured out. So it ends up being like a win-win. But that's normally what those conversations look like. Or it's like literally a conversation at a kid birthday party or something. And I'm talking with a
Yeah.
dad. Right. And I'm doing the
Well, I
same thing.
love that. I love that perspective so much because you're putting it out there like, hey, you are a guinea pig. Like you're not trying to be something you're not. You're not trying to be like, oh, I'm the AI expert and I've got it dialed in and this is what we're gonna do. You're basically like, I love that because it's so transparent. You're like, look, I'm getting into this space. I'm starting to build some cool stuff. I'm starting to take on some clients, right? So, I mean, for the people listening, you don't even have to like if you know enough to be dangerous, like if you built this for yourself, kind of like how you started, you could charge from the start, right? But you're not going to charge probably 5 grand a month. You're going to charge, I mean, your first client you said was 500 a month, right?
The first ones were just like infrastructure setup, and then hey, I'm see ya, right? And that would be like a one time $500. I'll set it up for you.
So
Enjoy
for
it.
the first actual like managed agents clients where you're meeting with them like the once a month, you're actually managing it. How much did you charge for that actual first managed client?
So the first one that I did, so I only got into the managed thing about a month ago.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty new thing for me. The first client that I got, I didn't even charge them for a setup. I was just like, dude, can I just give you an agent and I want to like work through stuff with you? And I did like 250, like $250. It basically covers like any infrastructure cost and like maybe like an hour of time, right? A month. And because a lot of these systems, once they're in place, they can run themselves. Um, and so he was kind of like number one. Number two is about the same. There were two different industries, so I kind of wanted some experience in each industry. Um, and then my most recent one, which is kind of like the first one where I started getting into, okay, I want to do a setup. It was like a $1,500 setup, and then I upped it to like $500 a month to like have a once a month call. We'll have our Telegram group. So my goal is to probably get to a couple $1,000s on a setup, and then maybe $1,000 a month per agent sort of situation. Right now, I'm trying to build that value, like the value prop that like I can back up. So I haven't found anybody locally who'd be willing to pay like 5 grand a month for like me giving them unlimited agents. But for me, it's like I'm trying to figure out the sweet spot around where I can take on enough clients where it supports what I need, and also is I'm providing the value that I feel like I'm like they're getting that value from me, right? So if that's like the thing I'm trying to figure out right now is really sort out in the market that I'm in, which is like a small town. Um, and obviously you can get clients in bigger cities and live in a small town, but my immediate network where all this stuff is kind of starting, there's not like big money, right? So charging somebody who's running like a drilling company as a family business $500 a month, that's like he has to think about that, right? It's like, oh, it's kind of
Right.
like not money I planned on, but he's like, but if you can replace a central office person for 6 grand a year, I'll 100%, I'll take a couple of those and I'll tell all my friends, right? So
Yeah.
so that's kind of that's sort of the starting place where I'm coming from on the managed side.
And I love that. And again, the point that I'm trying to make here to the audience is that it's okay to make it clear to those first clients that you are that they're a guinea pig, right? That like, hey, I'm charging you less than I would normally charge because I'm still trying to work out the kinks of this stuff myself, and I'm still learning this stuff myself. But one thing I can promise is, I'm going to provide you a high level of service, and I'm not going to charge you nearly as much as I will be charging 2 months from now, for example. So just the whole premise of like, again, if clients know that they're a guinea pig, some of the, like a lot of them are okay with that, right? Because they're getting a deal. So you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to start by charging 5 grand a month. You can charge 250 a month or 500 a month because you're getting paid to learn at that point, right?
100%. That's exactly it.
And
Yeah.
would you say that, I mean, when it, like, if somebody watching this wanted to take that step one and wanted to, like, okay, I built an agent for myself, like I've spun up a Hermes or an OpenClaw, I feel confident that I can at least do the same for a business owner and provide some level of value. Do you think that they even need to do that for free for one or two clients, or can they go straight to that pitch of, hey, you're a guinea pig, I'm going to charge you a lot less than I would normally charge? Like, can they go straight to that paid work, you think?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I mean, ideally you're not doing free work. You're losing money. Like you don't want to be paying for the
You
infrastructure.
at least want to cover your costs,
Yeah.
right?
At least cover
Exactly.
your cost is the goal. So even when I said like people I did stuff for free, it was just like my time that I was giving for free. They still paid for all of their stuff, right? They still
Right.
paid for their infrastructure. They still paid for their AI brain. Like they're still paying for all that. So I would definitely try and make sure you're at least covering costs and some of your time. Even if it's at lower margin, yeah, you can still do it at a low rate and skip the free phase.
Yeah, and again, I think that's a great point. You don't especially if you've done this for yourself, like you don't have to charge for it, or you don't have to do it for free, I guess, to be in
Yeah,
the beginning necessarily.
for sure.
Well, that's awesome, Phil. I mean, this has been great. I think this is super tactical. I think if anything, this has kind of showed people who are considering getting into this business that, again, you don't have to be technical, you don't have to be some AI genius. Like, you just need to know a little bit enough to be dangerous. And I mean, you're non-technical and you're seeing a lot of success with this. So I guess one of my final questions would be, so if somebody listening to this did want to get started with this model, let's say they're like, I'm ready to go, what would be your best advice on like step one? What should their step one be if they want to get started with this?
I think just pick some kind of infrastructure that you want to use. So I like Orgo. I know that you've had Nick on. I think you probably used Orgo.
That's what we use.
Um,
Yeah, we use Orgo as well.
yeah, I mean it's the easiest like way to get set up. Orgo has like pre-built templates and things. So that's like the easiest thing is like go start, you know, plug into something like Orgo. I like to like connect my agent into Orgo, so I actually do very little in Orgo. My agent handles like duplicating templates, creating workspaces, setting everything up for me. And I mean that it's as like simple as that to get going. Get your first client. Orgo, I think, will give you like a computer for like $29 a month. There's probably some promo codes floating around. Also, and it gives you like your first computer pretty cheap. You can get somebody onboarded pretty easily. And once you have that first rep of like, oh, okay, I can do this. This isn't that hard. And you do, if you know a little bit, you know a lot more than the person who has never done this. So there is value you're bringing to the table, even if you feel like I don't really know that much. You know more than you think you do.
For sure. And you really only need to be one step ahead of your target client, right? To be able to sell this effectively. And I will also vouch for Orgo as well. I mean, that's all of our internal agents are hosted on Orgo as well. I've done interviews with one of the co-founders of Orgo, Nick. So what we'll do is we'll link that video with Nick in the description and in the show notes as well. That's a really good follow-up to watch after the episode you're watching here. And for anybody that wants to try out Orgo, because like Phil said, it's basically a platform that gives your agent a computer, and they're building Orgo specifically as the platform to deploy managed agents for clients. So if you're serious about this business model and you plan to deploy agents, Orgo is really the place to do it. We've got a code. We'll put this in the description too, but we've got a link, and if you got to use both the link and the code Corey, but you'll get, I think it's 20% or your first 3 days for free, and then 20% off your first 3 months of Orgo if you use both the link and the code Corey. So we'll put that in the description too. But I mean, Phil, awesome episode, man. I learned a lot. I think the biggest takeaway, like you said, was to build in that basically that like weekly ROI tracker, and ideally one that pings your client every week is like, hey, great week. This week you use your agent for this amount of time, you save this amount of money, or you save this amount of time, or you made this amount of money in terms of time, based on how much you use your agent. Like that's genius. That right there is going to quantify to them why they should keep paying you every month. So really good takeaways there. Anything you want to point the audience towards, anywhere you want to tell them to follow you or connect with you or hire you?
Yeah, I'm on X. I'm FHL Creative. That's kind of my design background, kind of bleeding through my username there. But this service is called Sidecar that I started. So the website's runsidecar.com. And the managed agent service is like Sidecar SMB. And we're kind of working on an enterprise level too. So the enterprise would be more of like the $50 million plus business versus the small business. But yeah, man. So those are my areas.
Awesome. Well, we will put those in the description as well and in the show notes. So everybody, thanks so much for watching. We'll be back in a few more days with another episode. And Phil, thanks so much for the time.
Yeah, man.